49ers training camp practice begins today, and I absolutely loved the way Kyle Shanahan set the tone yesterday. We'll talk about that. Plus, Kyle sat down with Tim Kawakami and had a couple of very interesting things to say. I know you're going to be interested, and you will get to hear them next. What is good, everybody? Welcome to the original Gold Standard Podcast. I'm Rob Stats Guerrera. He's Levin Black. How you doing, Levin?
I'm doing good, but I got a couple questions. One, you going with a new hairdo?
Yep. New hairdo. Training camp is here. Shave the face.
I was going to say that's the second one. I noticed that when I happened to pop into your live with Michelle, it looked like it was gone.
Well, you know what? There's a very simple explanation for it.
Your wife said shave the damn thing.
Well, yeah, that's probably the simplest one, but also like season's here, man. Let's go. It's time to lock in. And that actually sets up perfectly where I wanted to start because I loved.
Before you get into that, I got a theory on why you actually shaved it. Because if you let it go too long, gray hair would start to show.
Well, there about it, Greg. Not gonna lie, that was definitely part of it. But look, like Diego says, training camp begins. We're so back. Yeah, man, like that is how I feel. And Kyle said it perfectly yesterday in his press conference with John Lynch.
I want everyone to come in and focus strictly on that. Be the best you can be, work every day, and we'll see what that adds to make our team collectively. But if I could simplify me rambling better, it's time to go to work.
Yeah, it's time to go to work, baby. 49ers in 5 is back on YouTube. Like, lock in, because for the next, 6 months, we're in the season and we're full go.
Yeah, time to get to work and lose that Cabo tan that Kyle clearly has in the video.
Hey, whatever you need to do to recharge, let's get to it. Which actually brings me to another really sort of interesting nugget. And this one comes from Kyle's sit down with Tim Kawakami. Now, I'm assuming you haven't had a chance to hear this because it's pretty new. And I thought it was really interesting. Kyle said he gathered the defensive vets to his house in OTAs and asked them what game last season he thought, or they thought, the defense looked the best. And before I play the sound, I'll pose that to you, Levin. If you would say one game last season where you're like, that's the best the 49ers defense looked, do you have a game that jumps to the top of your mind?
Not a specific game, no. I'm sure there is one that if you reminded me, but I don't tend to remember things in that way. I would definitely say it's early in the season.
In Kyle's mind and in the vet's mind, he said the game that came to mind was the game that Greenlaw came back against the Rams. If you remember that game, they kicked ass early in that game when he was on the field. The Rams didn't get a first down, I don't think, until like the third quarter. It was something absurd like that. But Kyle said he called the vets to his house and he talked about that game, how it bothered him. And he kind of called them out a little bit. I thought it was really interesting. Take a listen.
And I asked all our guys what our best game is. All of them say the Rams. Mm-hmm. Dre Greenlaw played a quarter and a half that game. Mm-hmm. Why did everyone else play so much better? And I said it to Bosa, I said all these guys, it was like, in my opinion, it was because, and I felt the same way. We were all motivated more because Dre's out there. How can we be motivated more? Aren't we always motivated as much as we can be? But like that's the MO that who we are. We're always the same. We always go hard. We don't just go hard. Oh, Dre's out there. We got a chance this week. That's not who we are. And even though I loved how he looked that game, that was a sign to me, to the veterans, to myself, to everyone, like, that's not right. Yeah. I want that young youth that we don't give a damn about anything. Like, we feel that way no matter what. That's how we used to be. And now we can turn it up because Greenlaw's out there. It's always turned up. And if we can't find that back, guys, if you guys can't find that back, veterans, me as a coach, you're on your way out, me included.
Your thoughts?
I hit the nail on the head in preseason last year. That's exactly what I talked about, that they were burned out, that it would be impossible for them to find the same confidence that they had before. They're not motivated. Do they find it back? I honestly don't know, because there is a reason why there is a shelf life to all but the greatest dynasties that have been. The Patriots, the original 49ers, the Cowboys of the 90s to an extent. Those are unique because they were able to not only get to the mountaintop, but stay motivated from there. You got a ton of teams that are like the Niners, where they got to the mountaintop, but got knocked off of it before they could put their flag down, and they never make it back. The Niners made it back to a second Super Bowl, but they got knocked off a second time. Now that's something that I have doubts that any team is capable of coming back from. That is an extreme hit to your psyche that changes the course of careers, because it's hard to ever be motivated for anything again, because I think it makes you fixate on championship. It's the one thing missing. I need the championship. And so you kind of not necessarily forget, but the regular season games don't hit in the same way. And it's such a razor's edge in the NFL and all pro sports for that matter, for being good enough to beat other guys that are professionals. And I think the Niners have lost that. Do they get it back this season? I sure hope so. But I do think that there's also a possibility that they don't get it back, that there are certain veterans that are guys that we count on that aren't capable of quite getting to that same spot that they have been in the past that made them the great veterans that are still here on this team. But I do think they followed the right game plan. The way that you get that back is not try to talk to the veterans and get it figured out. It's bring in youth so that there's guys behind them saying, I'm stepping over you to get the starting spot if you're lollygagging.
Couple of things. I agree that doesn't magically just happen. They needed roster turnover. They needed to churn, because you're right. Like it doesn't last forever for everybody. Some guys are special and they're extra motivated and singularly motivated and can do it. But more often than not, the best way to do it is to refresh the roster. But I thought it was interesting, Levin, that he included himself in the criticism and in the message to the players. He said, I was extra motivated when Dre Greenlaw came back. He said, if we can't find this fire again, we're out, including me. I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was interesting that he had the meeting at his house at OTAs, not at the team facility. He said he mentioned Bosa specifically being in that meeting. I think that was just a really interesting little nugget from Kyle. And I think it goes back to the video clip that I played earlier. Like, he is really sending the message to this team that it's time to go back to square one eventually, back to work, back to formula, back to where you were at the beginning of 2019, essentially, in terms of mindset, not in terms of the roster, but just in terms of the hunger. And I think that is a very good thing. I think that is the message that has to be sent, that this team needs the hunger again.
I also think it might be signaling a change in the way that Kyle Shanahan treats players to a certain extent. Because what have we seen? And we've criticized him for it. He is often, well, if players just execute, it's I'm over here, they're over there. I do everything right. They need to just execute it, and then we win. So maybe he's realized that that's not quite hitting in the same way, and that he needs to start including himself in it. It's we were not good enough. We were not motivated. If we don't turn it around, we're all out of here. It's him putting himself in the same boat as the players, rather than saying, well, the players who don't execute will be gone and I'll get players that do execute.
I think that has to be part of it. I do. I just think that, there's a reason that coaches generally do include themselves in the criticism and in things like that. Like, you're trying to get everybody to pull in the same direction. Well, you got to be grabbing the rope. You got to be holding the rope too in that.
Yeah, not the whip, the rope.
Right. I mean, essentially. Tanisha says, we got super embarrassed last season on all levels. Kyle might be changing his philosophy a bit this season. In some ways, I don't know. And I don't know if you caught this yesterday, Levin. Did you see in the press conference, Kyle talking about rookie players and playing rookies?
I did. I mean, he talked a lot about it. Probably spent a majority of the press conference talking about youth and guys needing to step forward that are young.
Yes. Kind of. This was very, very confusing to me, because at first he said the thing that we all want to hear about the rookies.
And though that rookies are going to struggle harder at first, they aren't going to figure it out right away. You can't just bench them as soon as they make a mistake early. That does take reps. No matter what you do, you need a lot of reps to get good at anything. And these guys are going to need those reps. They haven't had them. They don't get them in the off season. They get them through playing football. And that's why you hope as they get those reps, they're not catastrophic, because we're all judged on wins and losses. But there's some ebb and flows in it, and if they're made of the right stuff, you can overcome those mistakes, and they eventually fix it.
So that sounds good, right? Like, hey, you can't bench a rookie as soon as he makes a mistake. That was,
I know where you're going now, because I know what the second part is.
The second, well, here's the thing, because to his credit, Grant Cohn immediately followed up with, hey, if you play these guys and you lose games because of their mistakes, will you continue to play them? And Kyle said this.
But I mean, it's also, is there a better vet behind him? Like, you're going to play the best player, whether he's young or not. We're in a situation where we have a lot of opportunities for young guys to be our best players. We haven't had that in a while, probably since 19. And that's why there's more room for young players to make it here. And I think we got the right young players to do that. But in any situation, if someone's struggling, and we're going to put the best team out there possible, we have a chance for young guys to really earn that. But if there's someone better behind them, we're judged off wins and losses. You're going to do what it takes to win that game and then try to get a guy ready for the next week. But you're always going to put the best guys out there.
So what does that mean in terms of, is he going to play the rookies or is he not going to play the rookies?
I think what it means is the first part was the lip service to rookies saying, hey, you have opportunity. The second part is the truth of the matter of the type of coach Kyle Shanahan is. He's not a development coach. He's just not. He's going to play the best player in that moment. He's not about, I'm going to play this player even though they're worse because I believe they will develop into being better by season end. Like the whole first part was about, hey, rookies, you have a chance here. You know what I mean? It's him sending a message to the rookies and the young players that you have a chance on this roster because there's been so much turnover. The second part is, no, we play the best players. We don't do the play, let them take their lumps, and they'll be better for it in the future.
I thought it was weird because he said everything I wanted to hear him say and then immediately took it back.
You know what? I mean, I'll give you a specific situation. If Michael Williams is having issues in the beginning, and he's going to have to learn, certain pass rush moves don't work or whatever the lumps are, he's going to play Huff over him. You'll see Williams start to have his playing time taken. Now, I think Kyle's a little more willing to give first-round rookies a chance, but I do think that especially with like later round guys and second, third round picks, if they are not the best player, they are not going to play.
We'll see what he eventually does. I think with the D-line, he may not have a choice. Like, there are no vets behind them that are probably better. So they may just be out there the whole time. But I was thinking in terms of, maybe some of the wide receivers. Could that be, the case where guys screw up? Because I feel like he says, you got to let the rookies play. But in reality, they're going to screw up and he's going to become enraged during the game. Right? And he's going to sort of yank them off the field. And it led me to what I think is an interesting question, because most of these guys, these young guys that we're talking about, are defensive guys, right? The 3 defensive linemen that they drafted. We're thinking Nick Martin. We're thinking Upton Stout, right? These most of the young players where we're talking about this is on the defensive side of the ball. Robert Saleh is obviously back. When Kyle Shanahan was on the TK show yesterday, he talked about the freedom, basically, that he gives his coordinators on the team. And this is what he said about Robert Saleh.
Once I can trust how you are, how you think, how the film looks, how you talk to the players, thank you. Now I can be better for the Niners in other areas because you were the best man for that area. But it's always my responsibility to make sure everyone's doing it.
You had to do that a little bit, right? Last 2 years.
Yeah, definitely.
So, and that's what he likes about Robert Saleh, basically, is he trusts him. He knows, you got the defense. I play that, Levin, to ask you the question. Let's say Michael Williams screws something up, or Upton Stout, or Nick Martin, and Kyle is like, get this guy off the field. Does Robert Saleh now have the juice to say, no, defense is my area. I'm playing him. He'll be better for it. He needs to develop. He needs to learn. Could Robert Saleh be like, you do your thing over there. I got the defense over here?
I think he already had that juice when he was here at the end of his first tenure. I think if Saleh wanted somebody to play, they were going to play. Kyle has input on plays, strategies, things like that. He might say, hey, I noticed this. If like the opposing offense is constantly doing a specific thing that was different than what they saw in film or something. But I think with Saleh the first time around, Kyle was not running over there saying, you cannot play this guy. So I don't think that that's going to change. Now, I was going to react to him saying that he had to help the last 2 years in a little bit of a different way. I mean, we have talked about it, and many shows have talked about it. The offense hasn't quite had those trick plays, those new wrinkles that kind of everybody starts to pick up and copy in the future years. I wonder if Kyle's been stretched too thin and the offense has been hurt. Even though the offense has been good, maybe that's what's kept them from becoming a dominant, truly dominant offense under Kyle Shanahan with Brock Purdy.
I think that has to be part of it, because no matter how good you are, there's only so many hours in the day. And every hour that you spend trying to fix something Nick Sorensen's doing or something that Steve Wilks is doing is an hour that you can't spend on what Brock Purdy's doing and on what the offense is doing. Like, that's just the reality of life. So I think it can only help that Kyle doesn't have to worry about the defense and Robert Saleh, that he doesn't even have to have that sort of like acclimation period, like with Sorensen and Wilks, like, all right, well, let me just keep an eye on this and see. And then if they're okay, then I'll go do my thing. He knows Saleh's okay, right? Like, so hopefully they should be able to hit the ground running. And I really do think that Kyle thinks that early on, because of how many young players they have on defense, that his offense is going to have to pick up the slack. He even said as much yesterday in the press conference, that basically he knows the defense could probably struggle early in the season, but that they could get better and better and develop and be really good by the end of the year. I think he knows that. So if that is the case, and he can devote all of his time and energy and focus to the offensive side of the ball, they may be able to actually pick up that slack early in the year.
Yeah, I mean, he mentioned in that they have 6 of the first 9 games on the road.
Mm-hmm.
That's I think the NFL's way of trying to balance things a little bit. Like, the 49ers schedule is one of the easiest we've seen in recent memory. We all know that. That's what everybody's talked about ever since it came out. But the one way that I think the NFL tried to make it a little bit harder for him so it wasn't so egregious is they have 6 of their first 9 games on the road. Now, what that means to me is if they can get through those 9 games and be 6-3, they're in phenomenal position. If they can get through those games and be 5-4, they're making the playoffs. If they're under 500, 4-5 or worse, I got major concerns. But that's what I look at. If they're 5-4 or better, they're definitely a playoff team. If they're 6-3 or better, I think you're looking at a division title.
Having the home schedule that they have at the end of the year, I think, is super helpful for many, not just because of the opponents, because they're at home, the rest, all that stuff. Foot, thank you very much for the super chat. Says, Rob hyping, the wide receiver core is in such bad shape. I have a hard time seeing a successful offense with just Kittle and a broken Christian McCaffrey, easy schedule or not. So a couple of things here. First of all, we don't know if the wide receivers are bad. They're unproven. We don't know if they're good or not. They haven't played that much. So first of all, let's just not assume they're all bad because we don't know. Second of all, is Christian McCaffrey broken? Do we know that he's broken? He's hurt. He's healthy right now. I mean, maybe he'll get hurt. I don't know. But like, if you think he's broken, do you want him off the team? Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm looking through rose-colored glasses here, but I don't think it's like this dire situation.
I think you can take that out of the equation because you can just say, okay, last year the offense moved the ball as well as any team. They didn't finish in the red zone, so they were not a dominant offense, but they were able to move the ball as well as any team in the NFL. Their average yards per drive was like third in the NFL.
They were
They did-
fourth in yards.
Yeah, they did that with a terrible wide receiver core and no Christian McCaffrey. A truly broken, was broken Christian McCaffrey. So they did all of that with a Deebo Samuel who sucked and a rookie Ricky Pearsall who got shot in prior to the season.
Mhm.
And, other wide receivers missing time. BA got hurt early and others missed games here and there. I mean, they were playing Chris Conley. They were playing, I'm forgetting the wide receiver now from Michigan that dropped.
Ronnie Bell.
Ronnie Bell.
Ronnie Bell?
They were having to play Ronnie Bell. So I don't think you can have a worse wide receiver core than what they had to deal with last year. And they didn't have Christian McCaffrey, yet they were, as you said, fourth in yards. So you can sit and kind of take out all of what is going to be. Even if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play a down for them, they shouldn't be worse than last year. Even if BA doesn't come back and isn't the same, he comes back and he's a shell of him former self, they're still in better shape than last year.
I agree. I no notes as much as I'd like to offer some, and I think we all know I would like to. Brisbee Life on Twitch says I've blocked Ronnie Bell from my memory. And gameplan.exe on Twitch says if Brock is who we think he is, he will elevate the receivers. Also, if you look at the injury trends, you could argue that Christian McCaffrey is poised for a huge season. I do think that Brock and Kyle, let's not forget Kyle, will elevate the wide receivers. I think that is part of it. And I think that's part of what the 49ers were banking on. They drafted all these wide receivers for a reason. I think they were planning on sort of making this transition one way or another, whether it was Deebo that was gone or Ayuk that was gone. Right now, it's both, unfortunately. But I think they were always planning a transition. And so now we're going to have to see what they've got in that transition. And by the way, the Niners are out there practicing right now. Trent Williams is practicing. Nick Zakelj is the starting left guard, which I wouldn't read a ton into that because Ben Barch is hurt. Demarcus Robinson obviously is there. Christian McCaffrey is practicing. I heard Juwan Jennings caught a pass. He's out there. So things, may not be as dire as a lot of people are projecting with the 49ers right now.
Speaking of Trent Williams, did you see the ESPN article? I was reading it right before we came on air, so I think it just got published.
No.
They had an article about what it's like to have a holdout, and they got a player to talk about it that did it, an agent, actually two agents that were agents of big name players that did it, and a GM, and kind of talked about how bad it is and how it affects things. They had Trent Williams' agent was quoted more than anybody else in the article, and he talked about how it's absolute hell on the player because they're losing money. They don't know what their livelihood is about. He talked mostly about his holdout in Washington and how Trent Williams felt like they didn't do right by him with his cancer, which we all know they didn't.
Right.
And so he didn't want to step foot back in that facility. He was unwilling to negotiate a new contract.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I had to talk to him and over time get him to see that what was best for him was to put the personal things aside to come in and get a contract so that he could end up going elsewhere.
Interesting. I hadn't read that. I'll have to take a look. Maybe that'll be in the 49ers in 5, one thing to read for tomorrow. So thank you for that early heads up. By the way, 49ers in 5 is back on YouTube. Started it up now. The training camp is up. If you want to go and check it out, not now.
This is our time.
Thank you. But it is in the video section and will be every single weekday for you. People have talked about the whole Juwan Jennings thing as the Niners are bracing for another holdout. And even if Juwan wasn't out there, which again, it looks like he's out there right now, even if he wasn't, I don't think that it's a huge distraction. I don't think that it is, on the level of what Deebo Samuel's holdout was in 2022 or Brandon Ayuk's holdout, because I don't think Juwan Jennings is as good as those guys. Obviously you want him out there, but I don't think it's a major distraction. Richard Sherman is oh, you got to get this done. I don't really think you do.
It wouldn't be in terms of the part that you're talking about, but I do think something would be missing in terms of, as we talked about, his locker room presence, the way he motivates people, his energy on the field, and what did Kyle just talk about that they need? They need the veterans to bring that energy. Well, you would have probably the veteran that brings the most energy of any, not on the field.
I don't know if I'd agree that he brings the most energy, but I hear what you're saying. By the way, speaking of Juwan Jennings, Eric Branch has a prediction column up, and one of his predictions for the season is that the Niners are going to rip up the final year of Juwan Jennings' deal and sign him to a 3-year, $47.5 million contract with $30 million guaranteed on August 2nd. So that is a very specific prediction involving contract terms and figures and numbers and a date from Eric Branch. I'm not saying Eric Branch knows something. I'm just saying, wow, that is a wildly specific prediction to make on July 23rd.
Yeah, that's a yucky contract. But Branch has done this before. Like, he likes to get like crazy specific to see if he can hit the nail on his head, because it's one of those things like, if that were to happen and he's anywhere close on the money and it happens on August 2nd, guess who gets a bunch of publicity and his stuff read all of a sudden? So it's worth getting highly specific, because it will get you notoriety if you hit it. And if you don't hit it, well, 90% of the predictions that are thrown out there by people are wrong anyway, so nobody will care.
Yeah, there's no cost, right, to throwing out. You can only benefit. It's kind of like when you take a low-round 49ers draft pick and claim that you think they're going to be awesome and you see something in them that nobody else sees, and then they happen to hit. You get to live off that for a while, and if it doesn't hit, nobody remembers and nobody cares. So it's kind of a thing that people...
Did you just do this in a fantasy draft with a rookie wide receiver?
No, I didn't. I haven't had any fantasy. I only do one fantasy team. That's it.
Yeah, me too.
I'm not a multi.
I would do another one if it's like personal friends reach out, or like people I actually know in real life. But I don't go signing up for, I'm going to play with a whole bunch of random people that I don't know, because it won't mean anything to me.
Yeah, no, I don't. And I don't like, well, this guy's on my team, but he's not on this team. Like, I just give me one group of guys to follow. Yeah. Maybe I'm just old. Maybe that's
I absolutely hate split allegiances.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, I own Christian McCaffrey in this league, but I'm playing against him in this league this week. Like, no, because then it's like every single play that he touches, you're like, yeah, and it's like an anticlimactic over and over and over and over.
Let me play another soundbite for you from the Kyle Shanahan interview with Tim Kawakami. This one, I think you may have a strong reaction to. They were talking about, the roster turnover this season and how difficult it was for Kyle Shanahan, because he had some guys on there that left that he really loved. Deebo Samuel was one of them. Dre Greenlaw was another. Kyle said this, and when I heard it, I was like, hold on. Here's the clip.
I will never make an emotional attachment decision. It all has to do with what will get me the most emotionally is what helps us win now. But what is always in my mind is what can help us have sustained success. And those are the two things that you tie together. No matter how hard it might hurt to lose somebody or something like that, a coach, a friend, whatever it is, when it comes to what's right for the organization and what I've learned over my life, that'll never get gray for me.
Do you believe him?
In part. I think the issue he has and struggles with finding the balance on is this guy better than who I can replace him with, and valuing that and ignoring the money aspect. Like, I don't think he's very good at tying in the money. Like Deebo Samuel, up until last year, it was easy to argue that guy makes the team better. But if you look at the money that he was getting, it's like, hold on, you could make an argument here that he doesn't make the team better because the money you're spending on him could be spent elsewhere. I don't think he always looks at that aspect of it. He just looks kind of like in a vacuum. Is this guy better than who I could replace him with? Yes. Well, then he makes us better. We should keep him.
First I was like, he's full of it. Because Kyle Juszczyk is back this year, right? Like, and we all know, like, clearly they are close. And so that was my first thought. Is like, you'll never make an emotional decision, really? But I don't know. He would know better than me, I guess. But I feel like the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is they gave Deebo Samuel more money when they didn't have to give Deebo Samuel any more money, And that kind of bit him in the ass when it was time to get rid of him. And Kyle Juszczyk got cut and then immediately came back 3 days later. So it's kind of hard to believe him when he says he'll never make an emotional decision.
The Debo one, when they redid his contract prior to last season, that's the real head scratcher one. The Juice one, I can at least somewhat see the logic because he's looking at it as, yeah, this guy isn't what he once was, but can I replace him and get anywhere near as good of a fullback? No. Well, it costs me like $3 million to have him in the building. So, okay, it's worth it because it's so cheap. Like I can see logic to bringing Juice back. I don't agree because I think that to a certain extent it's holding the offense back by saying we got to have a fullback on the field. We got to have a fullback on the field. Juice is such a weapon. We can't take him off the field. But that in terms of could you replace him and have a better fullback? No, I don't think you could. And it's so cheap to keep him around.
But like, if you wanted to keep him, don't cut him in the first place.
Well, they got it cheaper.
No, but they guaranteed another year that he didn't have guaranteed.
Yes, that is true. But they got him cheaper. But I do think that there's a potential cliff coming for Juice, and I think we started to see it last year because he wasn't nearly as good of a blocker last year. I'm no blocking expert, but I did see times where he was missing guys in blocking, and there were a lot of people who wrote about it with advanced metrics that he wasn't nearly as good. He had become league average as a true fullback, leading the way.
Yeah, I think that people just say he's like the best fullback because they can't really name another fullback, period. So
he's
like
the only one that gets statistics.
He's kind of the best. What I think the emotions come into it is, I don't know that Kyle looks at these guys objectively when he decides, like, is this guy still good? Can he still make us better? He may think he's being objective. It's really hard it's hard for anybody to cut all emotions out of anything, right? If I was going to make a change to the gold standard lineup, yeah, it would be emotional for me because I like everybody, right? Like, we have hung out together. I flew to Texas to hang out with Michelle. Next month, I'm going to a Mets game with Jason Aponte. I met Steph Sanchez at a Niners game. Like, I like all of you. So for me to sit there and say, well, we need to make a change to the lineup, it would be emotional. It would be a difficult decision. And we do this for a living, which is nothing compared to what Kyle Shanahan goes through with these players. The time spent, the hours studying and working and preparing for these games. So of course there's going to be emotion tied into it. There has to be when you have such an investment in the time of your life together with these people.
I would like to believe, and you would probably agree, I might be the best you've ever met at turning emotions off. And there's still things that I would be emotional in. You know what I mean? Like, it's a coping mechanism. It's not necessarily a good thing. There's benefits to it and there's negatives to it, but I have the capability of turning my emotions off. I learned that coping mechanism as a child because I had so much anger that I was constantly fighting, and I was getting in trouble, and I was going down a path I didn't want to go down. And I learned that it's almost like an imaginary switch in my brain that if I feel too much emotion, I switch off. But there are still situations where that emotion creates a bias for me. So I can say with absolute 100% confidence that it is impossible to eliminate all bias due to emotion because I have literally spent my life trying.
We're human beings, man. That emotion is part of it. So when Kyle said he'll never make an emotional, decision, I was like, I don't know about that. And sometimes I want him to make emotional decisions, not necessarily with the roster, but like 4th down in a game. And, maybe the metrics say it's 50-50 or the metrics say don't go for it. But you look and you feel like your offense is rolling and you just have a gut instinct that maybe you might have the best play. And it's like a 55-yard field goal. Go make the emotional decision. The emotional decision is not always the bad decision or the wrong decision.
You're saying emotions can be good?
Yeah. Me, the crazy 49ers yelling, screaming guy, says emotions can be good. What a shock.
Yeah, I've tried to learn from my own mistakes and my own shortcomings. And I tell my daughter it's okay to cry. If you feel you need to cry, cry. Now, there are times when I lose my patience with it, and I find myself in mid-sentence going, wait, I'm telling her we need to stop crying now, and I don't want to do that. I want to let her have emotional maturity, and that if she feels emotions, it's okay to feel those emotions.
Would you not be weirded out if you saw Kyle Shanahan cry?
No, it would not.
It would be odd for me.
Mm.
The only emotion you express.
I'll say this. It would not be odd for me because I've been in locker rooms and I've seen guys that would never, ever admit to crying and would never do it in pretty much any other scenario, cry in a locker room.
I feel like the only two emotions I've seen Kyle Shanahan express are rage and joy, which is kind of how 49ers seasons have gone under Kyle Shanahan, right? It's either horrible, we win 4 to 6 games, or joy, we're competing for a Super Bowl. Like there is no like 7 and 9. There's no Mike Tomlin seasons in there.
I would say I've seen emotions such as boredom with him. There's definitely been times where you can tell he's like, I don't want to be here right now.
Usually
And
during press conferences.
Exactly. I was going to say every time he's at a press conference, you can just see him staring at his coffee or whatever drink he has in front of him going, I don't want to be here.
I don't want to answer these.
Leave me alone, Grant.
I don't want to talk to these stupid people. Hey, you know what? Hopefully he didn't look like he was being tortured yesterday during the press conference. Now he's going to speak again this week. Let me see if I can pull up the actual schedule. Of course, now I can't find it when I need it.
He had his crutch in this one. I do think he's, I don't know if diplomatic is the best word, but that's the word I got right now. But he's a little more diplomatic when he's there with John Lynch. He's a little more of a front office or an executive type of mindset when he's next to John Lynch.
He will speak again today after practice. Kyle Shanahan will speak Wednesday, then Saleh Thursday, then Brant Boyer Friday, and then Kyle's going to speak again on Sunday. Like, we're in it, man. We're in it. We're going to have every week media sessions. I'm so happy to have actual stuff to digest and talk about. It is great.
What a long, sad offseason it has been. Well, they waited until the season's about to start to have a holdout and contract problems. What is this?
Strawberry React says Browns just released their alternate helmets. Come on, Niners, release the alternate jerseys. Yeah, the Browns alternate helmets are brown, believe it or not. It's just a brown helmet. Yeah. Nothing. There's an orange stripe in the middle, and that's it. I saw, some rumblings that maybe this week we could get the alternate jersey. At this point, like there's been so much buildup. I feel like I'm going to be disappointed no matter what.
I don't know how you don't do a throwback to the 94 or, you know what I mean? You're hosting the Super Bowl. You got to do a Super Bowl throwback.
They already wear them though.
I know that's part of the problem is that the Niners wear the only throwbacks people care about.
Unless they go way, way back, but nobody even really wants that.
Nobody wants them to go way, way back because you know what you get when you go way, way back? Ohio State jerseys.
Right. They look with the red and the silver.
Yeah, the red and the silver. Yeah. Like, no.
Yeah. It's a little dicey. By the way,
what was the ones that Green Bay did that were like they're way, way back that were not their normal colors? Was it like brown and green or something like that? Like everybody was like, what is this?
It was like blue and khaki, right?
Oh, yeah, it was blue. Yeah.
Now
everybody was like, how are you Green Bay Packers and you're wearing blue?
And now the Steelers have the khaki pants because they went with like the Steelers actually went back to a jersey that's very similar to the jerseys they wore in the 94 season. With those weird, it's like a yellow jersey with those weird, like black diagonal and vertical lines on the front. It's really, really weird. But everybody's revealing their jerseys, damn it. And it's about time the 49ers do. And it seems some people saying that the logo was leaked. I don't think that the picture of a hat that somebody took in lids is the leaked logo. Maybe it is, but I don't know that that's necessarily it.
I don't know what chat's talking about the helmet over my shoulder.
The little minor guy that you have there?
Not a minor, it's a Boilermaker. It's Purdue Pete.
I don't know. Like that's the only thing that is different than the silver helmet maybe that's over your shoulder.
Oh yeah. They're talking about the helmets on the left or my my left. I guess it might be right on your screen. I'm not exactly sure how that works, to be honest with you. But yeah, the one right here.
Yes,
No one wants to see that. No, thank you.
I agree. Like, so it reminds me of Raiders or the Cowboys. Like, no, nobody wants.
It's Ohio State. Is 100 like Ohio State's helmet is all silver with a red stripe down the center.
That's not what we want to see with the Niners. By the way, training camp practice is going on right now. And I want to remind everybody, this is something that we've talked about. When it comes to training camp, read as many different people as possible. Read, watch the videos, consume the coverage, I should say, of as many different sources as possible. Number one, it's really, really hard to see what's going on at training camp. Different people are going to see different things and have perspectives on different things. And the 49ers change the direction of their practice field, which is going to make it even harder for people to see stuff. So just keep that in mind and get as many different points of view, because we have seen, as history has shown, we get many times vastly different reports on what happens in practice and training camp. And if you want to be as informed as possible, you have to read as many different perspectives as possible.
I think this is the best strategy when it comes to trying to get to the truth of training camp. And you still take it with a grain of salt, but read a bunch of different people. And if nearly all of them or all of them are singing the praises of the same person, they probably are looking really good. If you get one person saying, "Oh, this guy did really good," and then these other four people don't even mention him, no. That person happened to see like one magic moment during the practice and turned it into something in their article. You know what I mean? Like, that's how you decide for training camp. It's by reading a bunch of different people and seeing what the common threads are between them. If multiple or most of them are writing about this guy was really struggling, that guy probably was looking like crap.
And that's okay. Like, some guys are not going to look good. I loved this quote from Eric Branch in the beginning of his predictions column. And he writes, "As a journalist, you're probably doing it wrong if a PR director or press secretary is always thrilled with your coverage and questions." Thank you, Eric Branch. Everybody keep that in mind. Everybody the 49ers have is not going to be a stud. All the rookies are not going to be studs, even if they look good in training camp. And they're all not going to be terrible either. Although it's possible, I don't think all 11 guys are going to be terrible. So just keep everything in mind. To me, anything that happens in training camp, my thing is, okay, let's put that to the test in the preseason when they play preseason games. And then anything that looks good coming out of camp and looks good out of training camp, then we put it to the test during regular season games. And then we see what holds up and what's not. It's okay to be excited about things that are good. It's okay to be worried about things that are bad, but we won't really know until we're in the crucible of the actual games that actually count against actual NFL players. So just remember that as we embark on the next 5 weeks.
Yeah, pretty much August. Watch it because you're addicted. Don't watch it because you think you're seeing something that's reality.
By the way, people are saying that Ricky Pearsall is working out on a side field. That's basically what Kyle Shanahan said he's going to do for the next 3 practices, because they want to get a sense of where he is and where the hamstring is. They don't put the pads on, I think, until the 4th practice. So, if he's just working off to the side, I wouldn't necessarily panic just yet, but just know that's probably what you are going to see for the next couple practices, is that they're going to take it slow with these guys.
Yeah, and they should. I think people that are healthy should practice, and I think they've learned that lesson. They've talked about it. Trent Williams sitting out of pretty much every training camp has hurt him come the season because he's trying to knock the rust off in the middle of the season now. But if they're not like 100% truly healthy, there's no point of risking it. As Kyle Shanahan said, that Pearsall probably could go at the start of training camp, but there's no point of risking it. So they're going to give him those extra days because they want to see, I think he was talking about how they know what they've heard from Ricky Pearsall from where he's been off training, and then he's supposedly 100%, but they'd rather get him in the building, get their people to see him, run him through the drills, and see what he's doing prior to actually truly putting him in practice, just to be safe. I think the exact words he used was he's hit all his miles per hour, meaning he can hit the top end speed. He's getting up to speed at the amount that you're expecting or the pace that you're expecting, all those things, but why not play it safe?
And there is nothing that the 49ers can do during training camp or during preseason or during the regular season to prevent all injuries. Like Kyle, I thought made a good point, which was like Christian McCaffrey and Trent Williams didn't do training camp at all last year, and both of them barely played. So like there is nothing that they can do. It's not like, well, the 49ers handled this wrong and screwed it up. It's like, no, sometimes guys just get hurt. And I thought that was a good point because many 49er fans tend to blame Kyle Shanahan when guys get hurt. And I don't think that's fair.
No. The blame that I've put on Kyle Shanahan for guys getting hurt is because he keeps counting on injury-prone players, and I do believe injury-prone is a real thing. That's one of my triggers. If you want, there are people out there that want to argue that there's no such thing as injury-prone, and it's like, yes, there is. There's a reason why certain people are constantly getting hurt. I don't know if it's their bones are slightly more brittle or their muscles didn't quite develop genetically because of their genes or what it is, but there are certain people that it might not be the same injury every time, but they have constant injuries. You can't tell me that there's not such a thing as injury prone.
There is, and there's the opposite, right? Some guys never get hurt. Amazing. Some guy, Joe Thomas played, I think actually it was over 10,000 consecutive snaps in his career. And that's not like an exaggeration. I think that was around the actual number. It's a spectrum, right? It varies across the whole thing. If you're watching the stream right now, you can see Ricky Pearsall out there running and cutting. Doesn't look like he's going 100%, obviously, but he's out there. He's obviously good enough to test things and work out. And so we'll find out.
He's in a better position than he was this time last year. We can say that.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a pretty low bar.
Well, I'm saying like he came in and did just fine and was starting to emerge towards the end of the season, even with what happened to him last offseason. So he's in a much better starting spot than he was last year.
Foot, thank you very much for the super chat. There's a battle going on in the chat right now. Foot says, I got to call this chat out. Fact, Christian McCaffrey did not participate in camp last season and did not play until week 10. He tried to, but was managed, missing most of the program. Look it up if you forget. Well, Kyle literally said yesterday he didn't do camp. Like Kyle said that. So I don't know what they're specifically arguing about, but he didn't do much. And, we still thought he was going to be ready to go. And then right before week 1, it was, oh yeah, Christian McCaffrey's not playing. And we were all like, whoa. Yeah. And that was sort of emblematic of how the season went.
Yeah. I want to know the origin of this Foot name. Does he just like feed or is he part of the Foot clan?
Please let me be part of the Foot clan. Please.
Is he a terrible ninja, but somehow really smart? Because like you said, he's 100% correct in this.
I'm sorry, I don't know why the chat is arguing, but thank you for the super chat.
I feel like something is missing here that we did not catch.
We appreciate any and all super chats. We appreciate all our YouTube channel members like Cynthia and Tanisha and others. Your support is greatly appreciated. If you want to become a YouTube channel member, it's less than $3 a month. There's a $4 tier as well where you get additional perks. But if you can support the channel, we really appreciate it, especially, by the way, on Thursdays when we do the film breakdowns with Johnny Dell, because the NFL and college football are getting super petty with claiming copyright and stuff like that. Like literally they are posting stuff to YouTube, like film of games, and not making the videos public, just so if people try to do film breakdowns, the algorithm automatically flags it as copyright infringement, even though it's not, even though it falls under fair use. So a lot of the film breakdowns I've done with Johnny are actually getting demonetized. So, if you want to throw a couple bucks his way for the super chats, I'm sure he would appreciate it. It's really petty how a lot of this stuff is going down, quite frankly.
Speaking of petty, we might have a new nickname for you. Thanks to the new hairdo.
Oh, God.
What? Jason Shire. I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce the last name, but it says Rob looking like a Jimmy Neutron. You got to get a little bit of a swirl in there to complete the look.
I mean, let's just come up with another derogatory nickname for him. I guess
how is that derogatory? I would be complimented to be 40 years old and still be saying, hey, you look like this child.
Well, I have to say, shaving the facial hair has definitely helped me take some years off. By the way, this is a welcome sight as practice is going on. That is Alfred Collins participating on the field in a practice with the 49ers, his first professional practice, because remember, he didn't do anything in minicamp or OTAs. So he does exist. He is a player on the team. And now we see him on the practice field. And my God, does he look like a giant? Look at him. He's massive.
Speaking of derogatory, this one is truly derogatory. Joseph Ernberg says Rob straight out of Jersey Shore.
Yeah, that is
sort of. He's out of Connecticut Shore, just a little further north.
Connecticut Shore is nothing to write home about. Let me tell you. But anyway, so yes, that is what's going on. Niners are on the practice field. First training camp practice of the year. We made it, everybody. We made it. It's training camp. It's preseason. It's full speed ahead. And we will be here with you every single step of the way, breaking it all down, reacting, overreacting in some cases. Yeah, I know some 49ers content creators or beat writers don't like when people overreact. God forbid we get excited about this stuff. But we get excited here on the channel, and we don't apologize for it. So thank you, everybody, for watching. We appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time checking us out. We're here every single weekday, and once the season gets going, really on the weekends as well, breaking everything down. Give us a follow. I promise you will like what you see. Levin, I hope you have a mediocre rest of your day. Yeah, he wised up, so now I can't cut him off at the end of the show. That's all right. Just pretend I did. It's still funny.